I keep my feelings locked up, but you're the only one that really gets to me and really sees me. I've been trying to hide it. Hey, JayRich page 1.
All right, back with another episode live from the Living Room Podcast. I got another guest, a friend of mine, highly opinionated, always finds himself in a wedge between me and the conversation. We agree on probably 75% of things we talk about, but that 25% really gets the people going. It's provocative. So Rob Rob is in the building. We're going to talk about a few things. Starting off with, you said Waffle House Index. What is that?
Yeah, okay. So Waffle House is like one of the only places that's open every single day.
Right.
And for it to be closed, it has to be severe weather, absolute severe weather. So it's called a Waffle House Index, meaning that if a Waffle House is closed in this area, it had to be something severe. Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Oh, man, I thought there was something intricate to come with that.
No. It sounds like it's super interesting, but nah.
Well. What's your favorite Waffle House story? You ever see junkies fighting in the parking lot? Somebody argue about they change. It's 27 cents. I want my pennies. My pennies.
No, not necessarily. There's probably people inside getting a little rowdy. A little rowdy. Fights almost breaking out. Yeah. But when I'm in places, I remove myself from.
Sound like a man that's on probation that don't want to go to jail and throw your life away.
Never. Cause something small can come to something big, So I try to remove myself. But I've done seen, people walking down the street naked at a Waffle House or something like that. Yeah.
Could have led with that, but tell me more.
Yeah. Waffle House attracts some different personalities.
And I think everyone knows it's open too. It's always open. So, yeah.
Yourself? What about you?
Oh, me? Man, I got it. You know what? One of my favorite stories I have so many because the Waffle House is always, because I always find myself out like doing hours in which like all the good places are closed. Mm-hmm. So what I end up doing, I go to Waffle House like especially when I was on keto, like I'll go there and get just a combination of chicken and eggs. Okay. And that's my go-to, right? So 3 o'clock in the morning, I need some protein before I hit the gym at 5 or something like that. I'm going to Waffle House. So one of my favorite things I ran into was I want to say like right before the pandemic was over, and it's like still like that little time when people really went outside. And I had a moment like, man, I really miss being outside. Not for outside, but just the random conversations that you would see with people.
Right, the interaction.
Right, and it was something totally different. It was a guy going back and forth with the cashier about he got 2 sandwiches. She gave him 3 sauces, like 3 jellies, right?
Okay.
And and then I guess the average person be like, why would that cause a problem or cause like a little back and forth, right? Mm-hmm. And then I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? Hearing him go back and forth about the 4th sauce, it's like if you had 2 children and you gave somebody some candy, it's 3 pieces in the 3 pieces in a wrapper or whatever, and you give one kid 2 and you give one kid 1, that the kid that got the 1 is gonna be upset.
Absolutely, rightfully so.
Right. So you either break the 1 1/2 each way, mm-hmm. or you buy another one so they all get equal amount. So what he was saying, I was like, you know what? That second sandwich deserved to be equally sauced.
Absolutely.
Equal sauce. Ma'am. I don't know if you have a 2 sauce limit or a 3 sauce limit, but give him one of my sauces because his sandwich matters. The sandwich matters, man. Give that man a grape jelly. I'm sorry, everybody else likes strawberry jelly. I'm a grape jelly man.
You grape jelly man?
Grape jelly man.
Strawberry all the way.
I knew it. See, I knew it.
Hey, but you know what slept on?
I know my demographic.
The apple butter.
Oh, slept on. Man. Talking Waffle House language, people.
Yes, sir.
Southern people know we talking about. Gotta say talking about.
What
are you talking about?
Yes, indeed.
Man, that's a good way to start the show.
Hey, JayRich page 1.
Like, subscribe, follow, comment, tell us what you like, what you don't like. Be a part of the conversation. So, where you want to start? You hit me with a lot of different things that you want to talk about. What's on the top of your mind?
I would say learning to disagree with friends.
Oh, all right, let's do it. I just did that too. Let's go.
Yeah, it's something that we have to do amicably.
Okay.
We're respectful. We can respectfully disagree with people, and we have big deals and little deals.
How does one clarify what's a big deal to one person, what's a little deal to the next? Because I think that's another problem with what starts within itself too, right?
That is. Okay, so that's another layer. That's what's get tricky because you can't tell someone how to feel about something,
right?
You can't like logically because that's your right, that's your prerogative to feel how you want to feel now.
Correct.
Now, whether or not that's a reasonable position, that's a whole nother conversation because how you define reason is different for everyone. You know, I can say my feelings are stronger because of this. I can say, well, I don't necessarily agree with that, so I don't have the same emotional conviction as you do.
Right.
And that's what we bump heads. I'm never going to feel how you feel about it, so you're going to always have this emotion. Now, you have topics like, like religion and love and stuff like that, things that people, you just cannot tell them what to do, feel about.
Yeah, they're just,
it's not about logic. It's not about thinking
when you find yourself having an argument that's not about logic, is all about conveying that person. When you talk about, say, specifically religion, that's faith. It's all feel. And to talk logic to another person's faith or feeling, totally invalid.
Right.
Totally invalid. They'll never understand it because it's like you're going beyond something. You're tapping into their divine intervention and their divine entity and what they believe in, and also probably what they was raised on.
Yeah, culture.
You're talking about a generation of what they were brought up with, what their parents were probably part of, and that's gonna lead to just a lot of heated debates right there.
Right,
and that's a hard thing to do. Now, if we're talking about disagreeing with your friends, girls with girls, girls with men, vice versa, men with men. That's not religion, not politics. How do you go about having that conversation?
Things outside of that nature are what I consider to be little deals. It's like, hey, we agree to disagree.
Not about some money.
Oh, well, okay. Now money, see, people got to keep it real with themselves when it come down to that. Don't never give somebody your last. If you need it, you're going to need that. I wouldn't suggest you do it because you don't know how their life is going to go. They could have been very well planning on paying you back, in full or with interest. Yeah. But something can happen that was out of their control that prevented them from doing it. And you can be mad at them, but
he got new shoes on, though, bro. Bro, you better, man. You be outside walk with them socks, bro. I hope your socks is tough.
Hey,
better have some tough socks.
Anything new now.
Hell you talking about?
You feel me? When I see you wearing some, you know, owe somebody some money and you go buy something.
You better not have a fresh haircut.
Right. You gotta be looking real scruffy.
You better look like the struggle you was on my phone with. I swear. You gotta look like the struggle you was on my phone with.
Yeah.
Anything less would be is unacceptable.
Come on now. But in all seriousness, when we talk about,
I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm very serious. You better look like the struggle you call my phone with.
Respect. And it's like, when you agree with people, it's comforting. Like when you're in agreement, it's comforting. Okay, I like that we're in harmony. But
yeah.
You don't always have to go along to get along.
Right.
You have to voice your opinion.
Absolutely.
You have to correct people. We have to critique each other because that's how we.
That's a good thing we ran into. Yeah. How do you correct somebody without it turning into an argument? Because there's some finesse with that.
It is. But you have to have a profile analysis. You have to know who you're dealing with.
Profile analysis. Yeah. Break that down to a drug. I'm sorry, scammer. Let's go scammer. Let's not just. I don't want to go lowest common denominator and low hanging fruit. Let's go to another stereotype. Let's go. How you break that down to a scammer that probably dropped out in 11th grade?
A profile analysis.
That's 23. I'm talking about profile analysis, bro. That sounds like some. I go to Apple. They got that on Apple. That's what they say. Break that down.
Okay, so a profile analysis. It's simply just analyzing one's profile, one's life. and just in all of its capacities. Like, who are you? What's your name?
Like the friend you're talking to?
Right. Like, who you are, like where you from, like who are you raised, who your parents, what did you go through? So, because based on those factors, you'll know how to approach someone. Yeah. Like if you know someone like is a very sensitive person, you'll be very mindful of your tone.
Or even if they respond in a defensive manner, but they respond that way when they get sensitive.
When they get sensitive, yes, exactly. So
you may not take it to heart.
Right. Their emotional response. You may not react in the same way you would with someone else in general.
If it was a stranger, you're like, we got to fight now.
Right. You'll be more patient with someone if you know their background. Yeah. As opposed to like someone else who who's a little more.
It's hard. I don't.
A little more armored, a little more resilient. You can talk to them like you would somebody else, like how you want to be addressed, because you gotta realize we all are different. I don't mind a man like being, assertive or whatever. Or like, because you're a man, I expect you to be assertive. Don't be timid around me. I respect, a dominant male because I'm a dominant male. Right. I respect men just period. But the fact, like,
you enjoy seeing another man carry himself
like a man.
Like his back is straight, he walks with confidence.
Proud. That's
refreshing.
Right, exactly. Because we have a lack of masculinity, so it always refreshing seeing.
We about to get into some lack of masculinity. Let's go. Let's go.
Hey,
I'm here today.
You want to talk about masculinity? Like, hey,
let's go. You said you want. The man told me he want to talk about I want to talk about the direction of little black boys in America. I said, okay, let's go. Hey.
Yeah, all the time.
What made you want to talk about that?
Because the boys just don't get the attention. Like just like men don't get attention, but start from boyhood. Like when we're kids.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate off top. Okay. There are a lot of women that would say there's a reason why there's a phrase called "mama's boys." Mm-hmm. Now that's the one that gets maybe too much attention or get too much one-sided attention, right? Okay. Do you agree with that or no?
Yeah, mama's boys, yeah.
Okay.
I agree with
that. When you say boys don't get the attention, what are you speaking to?
I mean, speaking to like the well-being of little boys. Like making sure that they're doing...
Surviving or growth that will sustain them later?
Growth that will sustain them later.
Okay.
Like
I'm with you there.
Yeah, like we need to prepare them because they're not going to always be boys. Yeah. They're going to be men very soon. And in this age of technology, I feel like the kids have to grow faster because the information is being produced faster. So
absolutely.
They have to be able to absorb it and filter it out. Yeah. You can't really ignore it. You can't really evade it because the word has become digital. Mm-hmm. It was a time where you didn't need an email address to apply for a job, or you didn't need, a smartphone to apply. Like you could just do it the old-fashioned way, like pen, by paper or whatever. Go put your application in. But now you have to be on the radar. Yeah. In a way. So when it comes down to our little boys, just think that they just if you're not like playing sports or something like that, or I might say little black boys. Yeah. We kind of have these dreams of being, certain things coming up, either a rapper or an athlete. Like that's kind of.
I got bars though.
A lot of people think they got bars. Yeah. So that's another thing. Like know your lane. Yeah. You're not good at this. I mean, some people who actually don't even enjoy it are good at it. Mm-hmm. They just have a knack for it. But you're not good at music. Like
leave it alone.
Yeah, just leave it alone. Yeah. But at the same time, though, we have to realize that the boys need a lot of TLC, and then when it goes to the home, okay, what are they getting from home? We got a lot of broken homes in the community, right?
Absolutely,
like a 90% single parenthood rate, right? But what exactly is single parenthood? Because I don't think that number is that high. I don't think the number is 90%, simply because a lot of people are not married. We're not getting married like we do. You got a lot of cohabitation, but on paper, you're single. Yeah. So I think the number's a little inflated.
So when you say what is a single parent, you mean just the people that's maybe actively dating but not married, and they just get lumped into the single parent household? Okay. Right. Okay. So what would you define as a single parent?
I mean, a single parent is someone like literally like with no support whatsoever from
like a male or female with the children
that does not get any support from the other parent.
Okay.
Yeah, that's single parent to me.
Okay. All right. So what would you have little black boys being taught first? What's the most important thing that you would say if we would put together 10 bullet points? What's the number one on your list, and why?
The first thing I'll teach black boys about is, I say, emotional intelligence. Emotional.
I rock with that.
Yeah,
I rock with that.
And the reason is because we have to know how to conduct ourselves. Like every situation does not cause for the same reaction. Like we have to. I mean, and it sounds like that's too much for them, but no, they have to understand. Like even though you're a little black boy, you would get treated like a black man in certain situations. And if you do certain things based off how you feel, we have to all this. Going off the deep end and killing somebody, get a gun, I want to kill him because he, hurt my feelings or beat me up, something like that. Yeah. No, it doesn't cause that. Yeah, you got into a fight, but you don't go back and just shoot him. Like that's you being overly emotional about it. Yeah. I mean.
Can't take an L.
Yeah, you can't take an L. Like stop getting so
it's
in your
hard.
feelings.
I will say this. It is different taking an L in this day and age because you get you get a highlight reel of your lowest moments in life because of that cell phone. Yeah. That everything on the computer, everything is so digital. Like you can't even run from it.
And it's unfortunate that
not impossible, just hard.
Right, just hard. It's very hard. I mean, people can't rebrand and whatnot, but when you look at like you said today, this day's age, if you everything get caught on camera. People get caught on camera, like people go, they make
even our leaders. I think even with our leaders, when you talk about emotional intelligence, we're gonna go to I was watching this Marcus Garvey documentary, and there was a piece in it in which they were talking about how the government basically, they send spies to infiltrate everything that we have as black leaders, like as far as like the Black Panther movement, they put their spies in, and everything gets infiltrated. And he lives separately from his wife and children in another house so he can do his work. And he was so lonely. And the only person he had to talk to, he thought was his friend, and it was a person that was sent by the government to spy on him to see what his plans were. So when you talk about emotional intelligence and really just endurance, I think what happens with most black men, we have to learn how to endure the lonely moments. Because when you're doing something that's important, a lot of times it requires you to walk a path less traveled. It requires, if you're going to do something for the first time, you're really going to be the least popular person for a long time until it breaks through. If you were on the right side of history on day one, you're probably going to be vilified. See Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. Celebrate it now, but they didn't get to live to see those roses.
Absolutely.
Muhammad Ali, more so, yes, but they took the prime of his career away. So when you say get to live to see his roses, and when I speak of it in that sense, you talk about an athlete's career. You say you take 3 years from LeBron, Michael Jordan, Giannis Antetokounmpo, their prime years. That's 3 titles from maybe. That's maybe 3 titles from Mike, 3 titles from LeBron, 3 maybe, and this title from Giannis. That changes their careers dynamic drastically. Yes. Same thing with KD. You do that with anybody in the prime of their life, it's going to be a hard thing to do. So that's what I mean with the emotional endurance, and then also having the understanding of like the intelligence you spoke of. We have to learn how to read the room for these different reactions. Absolutely, because a reaction that's cool in this room, it changes dramatically. The reaction you're going to get is going to change 10 feet over there. Right. When you walk through that door on the other side of town, different people, different reactions.
That's true.
You got to learn who you're talking to, how to talk to them. You got to learn how to read the room.
Yeah, read the room. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like there's no other way you can articulate that, because when you get in a certain room, you got to move a certain way, and we all do it. We do it amongst each other, like even in our own families. Think about it. Yeah. You wouldn't talk to your grandmother the same way you talk to your cousin. Yeah. Or you grew up with. You probably wouldn't have the same conversation. Like you wouldn't. So we all do it. So it's not like it's an unnatural or We
have the term white people voice or code switching.
Or code switching. I call it code switching. Yeah. We do that. And I mean, code switching. We got a lot of code switching.
It is so much fun when you watch the person code switch, and you're like, man, what the hell you talking about? Man, just the Waffle House. I got me a scatter, smothered and covered. Like, yes, this is I.
Right, but and not only that though. Not only that, we code switch amongst each other as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, devil's advocate question: is that a person being fake, or is that a person learning to read the room? It could.
You know what? Depending on the context, it's the context of which room they're in and who they're talking to. Now we all have different rooms, and how those rooms relate or don't relate is subjective.
I'm trying to think of a scenario.
So like, okay, say if you got a person, if code switching to be like, okay, say you have one set of friends, friend set A, and friend set A is cool with friend set B, but friend set A and friend set B are not cool with C. But you cool with all of them. So it's like, okay, so you go around, you go to A, and they talk about C or whatever, or vice versa. Like, how are you navigating? What are you saying? Like, are you saying like, oh no, forget them or whatever? Yeah, you right, or are you saying like, nah, those my peoples? Yeah, like, cause that's the form of code switching. Now me personally,
I just say, and me in that scenario is like, if you can't say it to them, don't say it to me. That's one of my things. But at the same time, I'm not gonna degrade in your example friend group friend C to A because A doesn't like him.
Right.
Like I always stand firm with my affiliations. Now I'm very mindful of my affiliations, but I think you have to be.
You have to be, yeah, because that's an extension of you. That's an appendage of yourself. Like who you decide to hang around, that's you. And also, we hang around people for different reasons. For different reasons, and how they're perceived by the public. You may know a different side of them. But still though, with like social media, all it takes is like an allegation or a picture, like seeing somebody, with someone else. They can just kind of make their own narrative based off speculation. Yeah. So that's why you have to control the narrative. You can't you got to get in front of things. Because a lie go. What's the saying? Lies gone unchecked will become the truth. So
sounds like history to me.
Absolutely.
Number 2 on that bullet board. Did you? I'm not really big on lists. I wasn't trying to create a list off the top of my head. But did you have like another thing that you would say little black boys need to learn besides emotional intelligence?
Besides emotional intelligence, being basically knowing how to be self-sufficient. Like, and be independent, like really be independent. Yeah. As far as going out there to know how to do something to make money, to be able to take care of yourself. Yeah. Like working with your hands. Not necessarily tech, even though tech is becoming like the norm. Yeah. There are some things you all just never gonna go away. Like, welding or HVAC or, carpentry, something like that. Like, know something to be able to use your hands. Don't just have everything up here like, okay, I gotta go get a job. Like, be able to create your own income. Yeah. And it sounds crazy, but I think that the little boys should be able to understand the concept coming up. Like once you get to we have the real conversation, like I say, sixth grade, seventh grade.
I just heard a parade of women say yes.
Hey, they need to know, and it's not like we're trying to rush them into adulthood, but this is coming because
I think kids will get exposed to a lot of things that adults are that are made for adults a lot sooner. Because you can't run from it because of social media.
I agree.
Even in the curricular with schools, like when you talk about how many genders are there, I think I sent you a link of a story. It was like in one school in I want to say New York, it was like they were teaching 28, and then I think another school in California, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 32. And there's a process of like trying to re-educate yourself, and then there's also the part of like what we know to be true and what the new norm is, and finding balance between the two, because what's becoming normal, what we deem normal, is different, and then also what we disagree with is a difference between what's real. So, say for instance, I'm not saying I'm against gays, but if I've heard a conversation where a person that if you talk to a straight man and they said to a straight man, if you would not date a trans woman, you're transphobic. That doesn't make him transphobic. That just means he's not attracted to trans women, because that's just not what he's into. And you can't shame him into liking trans women because if he wasn't into trans women. Now, that doesn't mean the same guy's going to go make a speech and say there's something with trans women. They need to be excommunicated, taken from community, things of that nature. But we could definitely have different situations in which we can talk about things. But we can also have this thing where we have to re-educate ourselves. And that seems to be a problem with going back to our original topic, learning to disagree with people. Now we were talking about disagreeing with friends, but this is talking about people disagreeing with the masses.
With ideas.
Yeah. And then there's a difference between disagreeing, debating, and flat out arguing.
You know what? Absolutely right. Because one thing that we have in our community that we like to do is like the loudest person in the room, like over talking each other.
I like that you brought that up. Yeah,
like we can't the person who over talks and like is the loudest and shouting. That doesn't make you right. Right. And just because whoever owns the residence or the setting, that doesn't make you right either. Mm-hmm. Some people think, because you in my house, like I'm right. That's not.
Oh, that's the mom and daddy room.
Right, but that's not.
Oh, that's my house.
That's not real.
I pay the bills. That mean I'm right.
Right, but that's not realistic. You know, I mean, you want to get technical, like, okay, are you right or are you wrong? Mm-hmm. But people try to throw all this emotion into it to give themselves one up. But when we talk about disagreements, like, okay, I can disagree with you, but not be, against you. Like, absolutely. Okay, like you say, like with not dating a trans woman. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, okay, if you're not attracted to trans women, then it's okay to say I'm not attracted to trans women. That's your preference. Everyone has a preference. Mm-hmm. It's okay.
But you don't invalidate their existence. No. That's a difference.
It is. It is. And that's completely your prerogative as long as you're not being disrespectful.
But that goes across the board. Men, women, trans, everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. It is across the board. It's mutual. So as long as you're not being disrespectful, like it shouldn't be a problem. But the way people go about it, like first of all, like the word phobia, I think the word phobia is just kind of thrown around like too loose.
It's all these labels around too much.
Because a phobia is an irrational fear, like irrational fear or something. Like you just get like erratic. Yeah. When something you see somebody, but you're not erratic. Like I just don't support. Yeah. I just don't support. No, I'm not against you. I'm not in your way. I'm not okay. So I'm not gonna stop you from having rights. Like you want to go out there, and you want to get married. I'm not saying I'm gonna like take the battle. Like I support this, but I'm neutral. Like I'm not gonna go against you. And say I don't think they should have that. Some people do have that position.
I will say this: in history, inaction is just as bad as being in support or against.
Well.
Yep. So eventually, if you drive down the road, you got to make a turn.
At some point, you do.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Well, I guess it depends on goes back like big deals, little deals. Is it a big deal to you or is it not? I think most of the time.
I like how you just simplify something so intricate. Yeah. Well, people seem to make very intricate.
Right.
But it really comes down to that.
Yeah. Is it a big deal or a little deal? First of all, like that lifestyle doesn't affect my day to day. It doesn't affect my home living. It doesn't affect my income. So it's not really bothering me. It's not really affecting me physically. It's mental. And a lot of people got to realize, look, you and your feelings about it because these people don't even know you. They're not thinking about you, but you want to like hinder what they're doing. And that's a problem that goes back throughout history because it used to be like, racism in America, with it was the same concept. Like you're racist, but you don't even know why. You're racist. And
did you learn to be racist, or are you that way?
Yeah. I mean, and all this is learned behavior. It's all learned behavior, all of it. Because if you look at kids, they don't see color. Go to the playground, they don't see color.
Yeah, they just
play with each other, just like dogs. Like they don't. Yeah. I mean, they come in all different shapes and sizes, different patterns and all different breeds, but they all dogs and they play with. They just know they're dogs. Yeah. So that's the same concept. But as we get older, we start to get influenced, like by our parents, by their teachings, pretty much. They're teaching their opinions. Like they want to. Sometimes parents want to live vicariously through their kids in a way. Like, I want you to make decisions that I didn't. That I should have did this. So I want you to do that. Like, but no, they're gonna make their own path, and you should let them.
Quick question. So going back to the original question, what attention do little girls get that is more? I guess they're said more productive for them versus what boys get, based on your original thing that you said.
Oh, I mean, I think it's just like it kind of goes to just the.
Well, you said little boys need to learn how to be emotionally intelligent and probably work with their hands, right? So, what attention are girls getting that make them better off when they get older? In contrast to the boys,
better off.
In contrast to the boys that you said need the attention.
Well, I think little girls get more like resources if need be, or it's or it's easier for them to attain those resources. Yeah. As opposed to little boys. I mean, they naturally are giving them. Just like with women, think about it. They're only like 2 all male homeless shelters in America. I'm not mistaken. Most of them are just women. female and children based shelters. So and that goes on up until adulthood. We have these resources that are just readily available for.
But that kind of goes back to what your man figured out.
Yeah. I mean, it's expected. It's expected for the man to go to Israel. Oh, it's you have to. It makes you more of a man. It builds you up or whatever. But at the same time, though, I mean, it could be hindering someone from being great. That's all relative. It's all relative.
That's true.
It's based off how you were raised. Because like we were talking about, what's normal in this day and age is not normal. Back 100 years ago, we got to think about as a society, like the span of human civilizations. Yeah. There's a lot of things that were just normal that we would find grotesque today. Imagine and there are multiple societies across the world. They would regularly gather, in masses to see people get killed. Yeah. By various ways, like torture devices. It was entertainment essentially. Even like in
that speaks to the natural primal instincts that we have.
Yeah, exactly. It was entertaining, but now it's not. Like you can't go out and just watch them hang somebody. I mean, we got pictures of people taking their kids to see people get hung,
lynched,
or getting burned. So, but the times are different now. Yeah, that's no longer accepted. But you have people who are still alive from those times who can't let go of it. Yeah. But now there comes to, the fork in the road where, okay, should we go with the progressive route or should we stay traditional with certain things? Because everything that is progressive isn't necessarily better, or more efficient. Some things are better the old school way, kind of like Common Core math compared to regular math. Have you seen Common Core math?
So what's that again?
Common Core math?
No, what is that?
I can't even really almost explain how it is. It's a long way to do math. A longer way.
What's the use of it, or where is it taught at mostly? Was it given more so to kids?
Yeah, kids. Kids. It's supposed to be like the newer way to teach kids to do math. I like how we do math. We add something. We'll put 24 plus 10 equals 34. But in Common Core, they separate all the numbers. They separate the numbers and they put them together a certain way where you cross it. It's literally extra steps.
Is this something that you have a daughter, right?
Yes, I do.
How old is she?
It's 5.
5. Is that something that you encounter with your daughter?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, but I know it's something that has been floating around. I think it's got some pushback. It's actually been a couple of years ago. I seen the first mentionings of Common Core math, but I saw it and I'm like, I don't think parents can teach this because it's added extra steps.
Because the parent will have to learn it and then be able to put themselves in a position to teach it to their children.
And most parents have enough going on as is, and how they going, you tell them to learn this different, different style of math that, just
is this new. Like another way of showing your work, but they're just teaching another method?
Yeah, but it's more complicated. Like it's much more complicated. And math, like the simplest answer, it's the easiest. But it's basically like to go back to what we were saying as far as differences. We're gonna have them. No, we all gonna have disagreement. Nobody gets along. Like the world goes around based off differences. Yeah, how those differences relate to one another. That's fine, but we have to make sure that I'm gonna say respect, because you don't have to respect everybody's differences. Like you don't have to. Even though they say it's the amicable thing to do, no, you don't. You don't always have to respect somebody's position. Like, look, I don't respect it. Like if somebody say, "Oh, that's my right to be," a Klansman or something like that. Like, no, I don't respect that. I mean, it's your right, yeah, true enough, but I don't respect it. And am I wrong?
Gang members?
Gang members, same thing. Same thing. I mean, and that's our thing. Like that's what I don't agree with that. And with the gang thing is, it's men hiding amongst in groups. Like you're in a group, so like can you stand on your own? Do you got to have somebody else to validate you? Because of the structure. Yeah. And what are you really doing? Are you hurting or are you harming? Your community. That's why I mean, we all know about gangs and know of gangs and everything, but as I gotten older and realized that it's not really conducive to the community at all.
Absolutely. You So, did you want to talk about? Oh, we got a lot of things we can cover. So, have you been watching the news lately, or what do you consume on a daily basis? Mostly podcasts, information,
podcasts, and music.
What podcasts do you listen to? or content creators?
Well, as of late, I've been really listening to Kwame a lot. I used to be into Joe Budden. I kind of fell back off it a little bit.
Yeah, since the split, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like, I do Kwame, Star. I watch Star.
You like shock jocks?
Yeah. Like,
you like the shock jocks.
No, Star. But the thing about Star is he mixes a lot of wisdom into his.
Most of them do. I mean, well, the people that have long careers, there's a little medicine with there's sugar with their medicine, but the sugar for them is the shock.
Yes.
Underneath the shock and awe of what they said, it's like what they really feel and like the nuance of what they're trying to get out.
Right.
Yeah. So what led you to being a big fan of Kwame?
Oh, just because it was a different narrative. Like, it was a different perspective on.
Was it based upon the basketball aspect of it, or just him firing back at people being basically, I would say, essentially bullying him?
It was them firing back pretty much, and him exposing the tactics that the media use against young black males and how they are different compared to other athletes.
What would you say is the best outcome from that situation?
I mean, just in general, like what would I expect to read out?
Well, what he did. So if you guys don't know, Kwame Brown was a basketball player that was drafted number 1, I want to say early 2000s, and he was drafted to a team that really didn't want him per his him telling his story. And throughout the duration of his career, he was made fun of by both media pundits and various players, calling him a bust, even though he had like a 10-year plus career.
Yes, he did.
10-year plus career. Now that's nothing to laugh at, but at the same time, when you're drafted at number 1, there's a level of expectation of like productivity, but there's a lot of pressure. He was drafted as an 18-year-old kid coming out of high school, never went to college, and comes from the hood. And there was a story he was talking about, he had to play for shoes. You talking about going to a few years ago, you were playing somebody for shoes. Just you're outside playing in socks or barefoot on concrete, and a few years later, you're being drafted number 1 in the NBA. That is a story. So when he told his story about it, he was saying, "I'm not a bust. Well, look where I came from. My mom." And he frequently says, "My mama's cooking." I love the way he says, "My mama's cooking," and my mama recipe. Yeah. It sounds so weird, but he make it sound so hard. But so he was talking about, like, my mom's on a golf course now, and I think when you break it down, I'm a very big advocate of like the power of perspective, a positive perspective over a lot of things. Now, when you talk about his basketball career, you want to say he's supposed to average 20-10 easy. Okay, I give you that. If you drafted number 1, there's a level of expectation for that. Right. Now, so when you talk about the duration of his career, he was made fun of and all the stops. He's a punchline. If you just type in Kwame Brown, Stephen A. Smith, it's going to be compilations of Stephen A. Smith going, Kwame Brown. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a bust. He's a scrub. The audacity is absolutely blasphemous. You 7'1", 7 foot, and you got small hands. You got the hands of a toddler.
Disrespectful.
10 years plus. You know what's funny? I think, like myself and maybe even you too, a lot of people never heard Kwame talk. I've never heard Kwame talk until and then one day he pops up and he goes on a 2-hour rant and he was going in. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, subscribe.
Right. And you know, but what was so smart? Kwame's very clever because he draw everyone in with the shock value, like, you know, him, because it was perfect because he just never has really spoken over these 20 years. He's never spoken. He retired in 2013. So, you know, post career 7 years, he ain't really been saying that until like his name got brought up first. Okay, his name got brought up first. You know, about
it got kicked off with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes on Up in the Smoke.
Up in the Smoke, right. Yeah. So they brought him up. So
it was so funny because I think to the average listener, it was an offhand joke. But that 30-second clip is enough to put the battery in his back. He got on with the hookah. When he leaned back with the hookah, that's like Soulja Boy leaning back with a pistol. I'm sorry, it's the equivalent. It's the equivalent. Oh man, and here we are now. Right. He's in a whole presence.
And I like how he's using his presence to like speaking to the people.
And it's positive. It's positive.
Like coding. He talking about coding and trades.
Yeah,
and he's right, because that's the future. You know how to work with your hand, which is doing trades or whatever, and you know coding, which is all the computer technology is going to have is codes. Yeah, it's all coding. The program, everything that we have is coding. So you know how to do that, you're good. And it brings into question the entire curriculum as far as how we educating kids. What are we teaching them? Are they going to really use these things when they get older? A lot of times, no. Like we should actually have the first couple of years of our kids' lives, like I say, until they get to like I say 8 years old, we should be finding out what are they good at, like what can they do, like what drives them. They can find it out.
So what are they good at, or you say like what they're naturally more inclined to be?
Yeah, right. I mean, right, both.
So I'm trying to throw out a scenario because I don't have kids, so it's kind of hard for me to say. But I have been in many relationships where I've been a step parent of sorts, which is a whole nother lifestyle. But anyway, I guess like with yourself, what would you have said would have been a better investment for you as a kid, like as far as like molding your brain or your actions, or putting like saying what you're good at 8 years old. Say you're more artistic, you like the arts, crafts, push them into being an architect or something of that nature, graphic design or something like that, where you can work towards utilizing what you're naturally good at. Because if I find people that are happy in life make good money doing the things that they love. Those are the people that tend to be the most happy. Now, so a kid that likes cars, I would say a little boy that likes cars, I push him to like, hey, learn how to be a mechanic, work on different things. Maybe that translates into being a diesel mechanic or airplane mechanic, or maybe even building planes. Or just because he has a mechanical, he's inclined mechanically, and that's his natural interest of putting things together, taking them apart, building watches. Like if you like, cause I'll say this: if you want to see how fast a car goes, and you're like to the point where you want to take things together and take them apart, I mean, you can make watches. Yeah, that could be very lucrative. That's good. Yeah. So is that what you're saying? Yeah, right. Something like that. Yeah. So like how would we translate that for women? It would be same thing. Say, I don't want to say do hair. That's too stereotypical. No, stereotypical. Yeah. Give me something. I want to say fashion. That's just stereotypical too. How would you track somebody that's into law at 8 years old? Into law? Yeah, and someone to be in the law, a Supreme Court justice, a judge or something like that. How do you identify that 8 years old? Well, they like history, they like to debate, they have a lot of questions, very inquisitive. I think they're the ones who always have the why. You're the ones who are inquisitive. Like you'll give them an answer, but they still want to know why. You know, like it's why is the sky blue? Yeah, but why? We want to know, but why? Then you got to go into like the wavelengths, like the color. Every color has wavelengths, and blue being the thing that's one, so it produces 10 times more. Like the kids, like they want to know the inquisitive. That sounds like a parent, y'all. That is those kids right there. I think they showing like intelligence that they can go on a deeper level. Yeah. So then I start breaking it down to them, because you remember back in the day they had like the little commercials about, or like the little songs talking about a bill. Like, what's a bill? This is a bill. I'm just a bill. I'm just right. Yeah. And it showed what a bill goes through, and so it made it in a way that a kid could absorb it. Now I like that song, but I never try to be in politics. Right. But it's crazy. I mean, given more, I guess, more direction in that. Right. In that. You never know. Make it more modernized, right? If you do it in a more modernized way, make it more engaging, not so cheesy, I think it could work. I think a child could have an interest in law. I'm sorry, but Bill had bars. Right. Hey, for real. Not only that, think about even our shows like, remember Magic School Bus? I mean, like, all right, I'm about to confess something real quick. I grew up in the backwoods of the country. We only had 2 channels. We had 3 when it rained. Now, I didn't get to see that. I feel for you. Hey man, I got a good imagination from it. Hey, it's all that matters. You got to see a different side. Like I'm taking you. I had to create my world instead of the one I was programmed with, because programming. See, that's different. Think about it. Programming, but things of that nature, like just going. Like I think it was an effort back then for some reason to actually educate kids, to make things more appealing, have them more inquisitive about. Devil's advocate. I'm gonna be this person too. What's up? There are a lot of people talk about the Huxtables, Different World, and all those shows that was preaching productivity, different lifestyles, and showing people in different ways. Now, there's a lot of people that weren't doctors, lawyers, going to HBCUs. A lot of people that weren't even going to college at all, let alone HBCU or just any college. Now, what would you say to something like that?
You were saying, like, as far as the people, as far as like the content that you put out there for people to see different examples of people in different walks of life. There's a lot of people. Well, when you talk about the Huxtables, you know, there's representation. I think. It's good to show that they can be done. I mean, it's TV is influential. It's influential. Kids. That's the reason why they have set times. You know, people sit around. They gather around the living room for a reason. Like sit comedy is literally like sit down comedy. Yeah, the people are like supposed to be in the living room watching TV. Yeah, you know, so. When you see the different examples like the Huxtables and everything like that, yeah, showing like us. I mean, basically, Bill Cosby was the first. He's America's like first representation of a black dad. You know, who wasn't like stereotypical.
I got a joke right there, but I don't know if I should let it fly.
Yeah, probably not. Probably too soon.
I'm gonna do it. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Damn it, I'm gonna do it. You said he was always called America's dad. Now, what a lot of people are learning. Dad back in 70s, 80s, 60s, very toxic situations, right?
That's true. This is true.
And just as he played a character that was America's dad, on the other side of it, America's dad, Americans' children are coming out in the situation and they're revealing a toxic environment. And I'm not even talking about the women. I'm talking about, have you ever heard other comics talk about Bill Cosby?
I have.
They don't like him.
They don't like him. Most comics do not like him.
They do not like him.
He did not support them.
Didn't support them. Not only did he not support them, he chastised them, but not in a way of trying to make them better, but it's like he little broed them.
Right. Like
in a disrespectful way. So when we talk about America's dad and then how the children have to deal with the toxic environment that dad created way back when, that is another aspect of it. But I think that honestly is ironic, but that name was bestowed upon him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now I made a joke, but you know, it's tongue in cheek. But we can go deeper and make it real. Now, when you talk about, all right, so I don't know where you land on this, and I really don't know how to feel about him getting free. Mm-hmm. And then there you have people that are talking about he's not free because he's innocent. He's free on a technicality, and that person that's free, they don't care. They're free. Right. We care as a society of like who's guilty, who's not guilty.
Right.
And then people fall on both sides of what was done. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. But if you got 100 people saying it, let's say 95% of them are lying. Mm-hmm. 5%, that's too many.
Yeah. You're right.
I mean, to quote Hannibal Buress, which was his he made a joke of it, but it was based on a real thing. But that kicked off this whole thing with Bill Cosby. Now, did you see that they tried to cancel? I don't know if they canceled or I don't know what you would call it, a little canceling or a little straightening. But would they try to cancel Miss Huxtable, Felicia Rashad?
I didn't hear about them trying to cancel her, but I know that her position hasn't changed since the first thing when it first popped off. She had the same position that like he's a good man. He's always been good to me, you know, and the people around me. I've never seen that side.
Yeah, so if I was trying to run up on it, Miss Huxtable.
Hey,
today, to this day.
To this day, always, and she still looks awesome.
Absolutely, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, so it's like. To come back to Bill Cosby, I think first of all, look
up the hashtag by Felicia with a PH. Everybody, you'll see mixed. Well, do you know? Okay, well, let me tell you about what happened. So she's let's say she's a dean of the community of. Don't quote me on this, but I believe she was elected the dean of HBCU theater department. And when she made a comment when Bill got free. She said finally the injustice was corrected. Everyone started the hashtag by Felicia based on that, and they want her ousted from her position. I don't know if she's been ousted from that position, but the HBCU quickly came out and said that her views in her statement does not reflect what we stand for. Now, I don't know if she's been taken from that position or not, but that's basically what the momentum is generated from that. Now, you shaking your head. What do you have to say about that?
It's why like that company policy. You can't have an opinion. That's her opinion. And
it wasn't the company; it's the students. It's the student body.
Students, whoever. Like it's like you want to oust her from her position because she doesn't agree with you. So because of that. her stance on Bill Cosby, which hasn't changed.
Yeah,
she's always supported Bill. Like, so you guys know this. So before she even got into this position, she was supporting Bill Cosby. Mm-hmm. And
that's why the situation is so divisive.
Yeah, exactly. She's been consistent, but you want her ousted because she doesn't agree with you. See, that's what
cancel culture has kind of translated into. It's like an overcorrection, mm-hmm. and now it's put to the point where as soon as you have a disagreement with somebody, and like we talk about, what I said earlier, a lot of people. Definitely not comparing Bill Cosby to Muhammad Ali, mm-hmm. but there are a lot of people that even on the day of his death, they said good riddance. He was a draft dodger.
Muhammad Ali,
yeah, because he didn't step forward and go to the war. I mean, but that was he was vilified then mm-hmm. from a lot of people that are by the book patriotics, mm-hmm. Patriots. They vilified him for that. Now. Come to find out, a lot of Americans felt that the same way he did, that he verbalized about going to the war, mm-hmm. and hence the reason why we don't have a draft to this day. Mm-hmm. Now, all that being said, there are still some people that's going to spit on his name, that have spit on his name as far as him being a draft dodger. That's what they know him for. Right. Now, other people is like he's celebrated. Mm-hmm. But going back to the Bill Cosby situation, you said... Felicia Miss Rashad never changed her position. She's always been consistent, and as a lot of people on that show mm-hmm.
have
been in that position and said the same thing. Mm-hmm. They support him, but we also have the other side of people who are speaking for the victims.
Right. See, okay.
Now that's go ahead.
Sticky. Okay, so now with the victim. Now, first of all, these allegations are 40 plus years old. Mm-hmm. So. There's a hearsay. You don't know. There's the physical evidence has been brought forward. I have yet to see any. My thing is, we gotta look at the context the era was in.
Yeah.
I mean, drugs were normal. They did drugs a lot. If you come into a woman,
hold on, bro. I can't let you do that. It's a difference from giving somebody a Quaalude while you're sober. They're on a Quaalude, and then they wake up not knowing what happened, and this you. Clap cheeks while they were asleep. That's nasty.
Well, that's different right there when one passed out. Yeah, but then again, at the same time, you never know. Some people are into that. You never know people's kinks. As bizarre as it may sound, somebody may be into that. Like, or they're there for a certain. They're there to
This is why I brought you to the show. That's why I got him here, people.
Bro. Like maybe
get me canceled day one.
Look, maybe. Hey, look. He like, hey, look. I don't want no happen. I don't want to feel nothing. I want to be asleep. And go and I'm serious. He probably like on some kind of borderline necrophilia type stuff. Like that's what you into. I mean, but the body's still going to react. The body reacts even if you sleep. The body's going to react.
You realize what you just said?
I'm serious. Some people we gotta have these real conversations. Some people are into strange things. I'm not saying I support it. I'm not saying I condone it, but some people are into
that
things.
Is a very.
So it's a possibility.
You should have been on his defense team, bro. But I'm saying, boy. You just said all of his victims. Do you realize the implication of what you just put out there?
No, I mean I didn't write down all of them. I'm saying that.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay,
I mean,
you're just throwing out another theory.
Yeah, theories. All this theories. Like it's all speculation. I don't know. We're all speculating. Boy, yeah, we're speculating. I'm not saying that all the victims wrong or Bill didn't do anything wrong. I don't know. But I know that if something really happened. I don't know why it would take 40 years for it to come out. I don't know.
Well, I could speak to that because I know a lot of women that have been victims of sexual assault, and a lot of times they don't want to speak on it because they don't want to be believed. They think they'll be believed, and then sometimes they'll get shamed, or they still haven't worked through the feelings and the trauma that was caused by it. Now. That goes into another subject of what I want to discuss. A lot of people talk about mental health issues, and it's more prevalent in today's society. Like it's out there in the ethos where people deal with their mental health and different things that they have to basically find coping mechanisms or dealing with different things that may affect them negatively. Right now, given that, there are also people that utilize something as a convenient excuse.
It is.
But it's a hard thing it's like when a woman says the R word. Mm-hmm. When a woman says that, You're supposed to believe all victims. That's what we're being taught, right? Now, we know people lie. Mm-hmm. People lie about, that's a bad thing to put on anybody. Male, female, child, adult, old, I don't care who you are. That's a horrible thing and some people never recover from that. True. The allegation, especially when it's untrue. Now, when you talk about a convenient excuse of mental health, there are a lot of people that will say they were being in the middle of a storm. They were in the middle of a storm. They were depressed, and they use it as a cop out to get out of their situation for being basically a bad person, stealing something, being hurtful, or just being basically, for lack of a better term, a piece of shit. Yeah. And I think we got to discuss that more.
Mental health has become, like many other things, weaponized. Just like being black,
we weaponize everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything, like it's weaponized because it's something like an untouchable thing. Like mental health. So accountability, you can't escape accountability. I don't think, or you shouldn't be able to.
Sooner or later, some accountability is going to come to you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Whether you want to or not, and then the way it comes to you is a lot of times depending on you. Yeah. So when it comes down to
how much power you
have, when it comes down to like mental health, I think that. Yes, it is true. It's something we have to address. How we have, as a people, have been coping with mental health has been.
You good? You good?
Yeah, how people have been coping with mental health, I think has been. What's the word? I think the approach has been wrong. Yeah, like us as black people were like, well, for
as
one,
a whole, or just like specific.
Well, in our community, we use we still are very faith based.
Okay,
we use like kind of pray it away, take it to Jesus, but. Yeah. I mean, we've had mental health issues for a long time, and it's been reoccurring. Like we haven't stopped these generational curses, and it's like we've been doing the same thing over again. So we have to change. The
well, if I follow the conspiracy string from this point, we were trying to make back to the original thing. We're talking about learning to disagree with friends, or we were talking about somebody disagreeing with, say, a religious argument. Right? Do you have people that are let's just say Christian, because that's most black people are. They just say take it to Jesus, pray it away, but it doesn't solve the problem. And a lot of times, if I'm just being honest, a lot of people say that because they don't have an answer for you, or they don't even have the answer for you. The ability to go there with you, or they use it as a tactic to avoid the conversation.
You're right. I liken it to alcohol. I liken take it to Jesus and to alcohol because it kind of gives the same sensation. Temporarily, you may get that, soothing, you may soothe yourself temporarily, but the problem's still going to be there if you haven't actually worked through it.
Meaning, like we're not a non-spiritual problem you're referring to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like it's like it's going to still be there. So you have to have
example, like a person that has anger issues, or maybe a person that has situations with I don't know, just people that just reoccurring. They're trying to figure out why the thing keeps happening to them, and a person that's ill-equipped to or doesn't want to have that conversation, they just say, "Oh, take it to Jesus."
Right. Okay. It's basically like I'm gonna pass it off here, but you're not actually dealing with it. You got to go get therapy. Like because when you taking to Jesus, like that's your one-on-one.
Well, I would say you could take it to both.
I mean, you can do both
because there's value in taking something to your spiritual leader, or just having that time with yourself, meditating and talking to your higher power, but you also need to do the work,
right?
And go. What we talked about yesterday, having conversations with people that don't agree with you, that's where you get the growth. Uncomfortable conversations. And that's what really therapy is. It's uncomfortable. Well, some people it's uncomfortable conversations. And for others, it's a safe place where you can let your mind go and not be judged for it.
Right.
So, and I think that's something in the black community where I see it changing, because this conversation we're having, I don't think we had this conversation 15, 20 years ago.
No.
And if we did have it 15, 20 years ago, we would be, what's wrong with them?
Yeah.
But they need Jesus.
Stay away from them. Yeah. Something the devil got in them. Something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's not the norm. Like
church people need to go to church. The most advocate, the most spiritual person needs to go to therapy too.
Absolutely. I think
there's a reason people before they get married, they go to couples counseling with their pastor. It's necessary.
You know what? I think we need it for children as well. Children should get therapy. It should be in school. We should have them. Just check with them.
More so. Honestly, I agree with that wholeheartedly and say even more so with children than adults because no one really checks on the children in a position. Well, a lot of times children don't get checked on, and when they get checked on, they usually been coached to say everything's okay,
right?
Especially when something's wrong,
and that's how it is. Definitely don't tell about what's going on in the house.
Exactly, is that or the person that intimidates you that you have the problem with, you don't even know how to articulate it. Or in my case, I know for me as a child, I didn't have a lot of confidence because I didn't have that instilled in me early. I didn't find my confidence in myself later in life where I actually got told to be quiet because I was that inquisitive child that had all the questions. And it was always a situation where certain times you have intelligent children that make adults feel bad because they don't have an answer for them. They tell the kid, stay in a child's place. Well, I was never disrespectful. I just had questions. Right. And if you tell that kid to be quiet, and then he turns into a quiet young man, and he's very timid, he lacks confidence.
Absolutely.
I got older and found my voice. Now, or imagine where I ask myself this, where would I be if I had this confidence I have now, 80 years old?
It more than likely it would have changed the trajectory of your life.
Absolutely.
If you'd have been more confident. So we shouldn't shut down kids for having questions. We can give them like a kid answer, in a way that we think that they can digest. But if it's not good for them, then take it up. Like give them what they can handle. Yeah. I think we should. Don't overdo it because, like you said, stay in a child's place.
Healthy balance.
Yeah, like you said, stay in a child's place. That's it's receding. The child's place is receding, and it has been receding with the growth of like technology. Yeah, like every kids got phones, so they get the information at the same time.
Well, to dovetail on what you just said, there's a lot of people that would never teach their children about, what's the word I can use, alternative lifestyles. But now they're forced to have that conversation because you walk outside that door. You may not have it in the household, you may not have it in the family, but now you walk outside and see strangers that are your neighbors that have this alternative lifestyle. So now you have that conversation. And then the hardest part about that conversation, follow-up questions. Follow-up questions hurt a lot of people because now you have to dig deep into the philosophical reasons why things are what they are. And some people just are not ready to have that conversation, be it for better or worse. This conversation need to be had, but the children can't run away from it. And a lot of parents that have this thing where they try to shield their children from the world, be it just something that's reserved for adults or something they deem not in my house.
Okay, like
you gotta go off the grid. If you're trying to protect your children from the world, you got to go off the grid, no cell phones. But then you're also hurting them in another way because, like you said, everything we do going forward in the future is coding, meaning technology.
Right.
Unless you want to be Amish and go live off the land, that's it.
And it's like, most people that's okay if that's your lifestyle, but you only have to give your kids a choice. Yeah. To see what they want to engage in. 9 out of 10, they're gonna want to live in a modernized world. Is your daughter allowed to twerk? No. I never thought it was appropriate for kids to be twerking, but that's not thing.
Okay, what if we just said it was African dance though?
It was African dance. Okay, see, it's different African dance and twerking.
I'm saying, okay, now, don't my people in the dance community and Africans don't come for me. There are a lot of African dances that are just pure dance. Is nothing enticing or sensual about them. Then you have those that are. Now that's what I was relating it to. And then there's also been a lot of people that said twerking is the evolution of African dance, pieces of it.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
In pieces.
I can agree with that.
Okay.
I can agree with that. I mean, that's not too far-fetched, but it's like when you have children dancing in a suggestive manner. Yeah. And they're usually they're mimicking adults. We're dancing in a suggestive manner. That's different. Like it's like when you put it in context, like in Africa and tribal, that has a heritage. That's have a tradition. But this right here,
there's traditions now too. We just don't label it such. But it's the same
we got
thing.
traditions, but
I know what you're saying.
That are socially engineered. Like they don't talk about we have things that are created for you. Okay, I'm gonna try to start doing this. I mean, just like dancing, still come out.
Yeah,
like we're gonna keep on pushing this out so it becomes a norm.
Yeah,
like I said, twerking been around. They've been doing it. We got the old videos and everything. But at the same time, you don't want your children to be doing that. Just think it's okay. And then on top of it, you got a little boy. And then you got a little boy who will get behind a girl or something like that. Come on, is that really appropriate? No, I don't think so. But some people, they find it entertaining.
I had a joke, but it's not a funny situation. Every joke don't need to be told. I didn't want to be funny in such a serious moment. But so as you only have one daughter?
Yes.
No boys?
No.
Okay. So girl dad, #girl dad. What would you teach your daughter that you wouldn't teach your son? And vice versa.
Man, something I would teach.
Talk to the mic, please.
Okay, my bad. Something I would teach my daughter that I wouldn't teach my son, and vice versa. Honestly, I don't think there's. Off the top of my head, I don't think there's anything I wouldn't teach them both.
What are you going to teach her about relationships? How to deal with men, women, aspects of. I don't know. Because the reason why I present the question this way is because as a father, I'm venture to say, let's say you have a teenage daughter. She gets to her teenage years, right? Mm-hmm. Your problem, and this is what I was going off of what T.I. said about his daughter. About he calls a whole firestorm about checking this girl's hymen, right? Now, what he was saying is like usually the girl that gets pregnant and they get stuck with the child.
Right.
Now, this is a millionaire talking about this. Now, we're talking about like average everyday people. That's a real problem because now you have a child to care for, and then the father is going off somewhere or is too young to even understand what the gravity of the situation. Mm-hmm. So, are you going to coach your daughter differently than you would if you had a teenage boy, as far as like in relationships to sex or? Sexual education is important. Like the kids, they're gonna do it. They're gonna have natural. What is sexual education in Rob's household like? Give me the speech.
What?
Give me the speech that you're gonna give your daughter. What at 13, 12?
I mean, hey, like. I can't even say.
I got follow up questions too.
Bro, I can't. I mean, I don't know.
Have you thought about it?
I've thought about it lightly, but I'm like, no, it's kind of off, whatever.
Yeah.
But generally, I know for sure. I let her know that hey, you're gonna. As a man, it's kind of hard to even approach that in a way because you don't want to come off. How can I say this? You don't want to come off too harsh, too aggressive with it. It's a sensitive topic, so I would expect the moms to kind of be able to give her, the most part. But in my household in particular, it's like we're responsible. No, I'm not gonna be supportive of having like her having a boyfriend at like 8, 9 years old, whatever. But like having like like
when is she allowed to date?
Dating. Okay,
I'm stressing them out, Sean. Stressing them.
I want to say 16.
I see some salt and pepper in his beard.
Hey, no,
it might be the light.
Nah. Bro, I would say about 16, but then again, it depends on the maturity of your child. Like you got to know, like, is she a strong leader or a follower? Like you don't know how a
protection and pregnancy prevention. What's your stance on that?
Protection and there's a lot of ways to not get pregnant. Like, yeah, too many ways
so the reason why I ask is because I've listened to a lot of women talk about them getting put on a pill, and now once they get off the pill or certain things that their parents forced them on, now they can't have children in their later years. So that's what I'm saying. Okay. That's the conversation that needs to be had, and it's like that's a real thing because you never want to have your child become to 25, 35 and say, I can't have a child. You can't be a grandfather, and this is why because you didn't do enough research, and but and that's another thing too. Like as we criticize parents, and then you're a parent yourself, we have to be careful, and because sometimes people trying to do right for you can lead to another problem. So you were trying to like say hypothetically, if you were to put your daughter on on a pill or all the different things they have, the shot, the insert, the Moderna, or it was a Nuvo ring. Mm-hmm. If you do that and you're trying to do it to prevent her from making a mistake that would change her life going forward, to compromise her going forward. Now, if that is successful, then she comes out on the other side, and when she's ready to have a child, she can't do it now. Now she might have a resentment for you because you put her on that.
Right.
Just like any child that was given a medication before they had any idea of what they were getting themselves into. And not just, something that would prevent pregnancy, but that could lead to another problem. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's a conversation I think we need to have in households too. Well, the parent also has to do more research, because you think you're doing something good for the child, but it could hurt them 5, 10, 15 years later.
And in the long run. Yeah. Because you don't want to be short-sighted, basically, with the situation. So,
but sometimes we just don't know.
Right, we don't. We just,
and that's where we have to be conscious of.
Right. I mean, we make our decisions based off the information we have at the time. Like, that's all you really ask person to do. They made the best decision with the information they had at the time. Yeah. And things change. We have a better way of doing things.
Now, I just surprised you with that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is why this conversation is valuable, because we were not talking about your daughter being on a pill or something like that. Now, like, there's no reason when you talk about condoms and pills and abortions and you stance on that stuff right now. She's 8.
Right.
But that's totally different. And you blink your eyes 5 years from now, going into high school, it's very different.
It's very different, yeah.
But I'm glad we had this conversation. That was 30 seconds, but now it just changed your whole daughter's life. Because now you can have an opportunity to make a more informed decision.
Right. I mean, and it's like just basically being engaged, because I feel like for some reason, despite the fact that we have all the technology, all these ways to communicate, we lack in communication, about real things. Like, you see pictures of like parents and the kids at the table, everybody looking down their phone. Yeah. Now we're not interacting with each other. We've gone away from
to get people at a table. Did you eat at a table with your parents or your family?
I mean, we did, but as I got older, we started
non-holidays.
Non-holidays. Sometimes, we did, but as I got older, we kind of stopped, kind of strayed away from that.
As you got older, what age?
I said I got into high school.
What was the cause of that? Like, one person was at work doing night shift, the other person.
Yeah, I think like lifestyle charters just changed. Whatever, like they'll both be at work, or want to be at work.
Oh, you grew up in a 2-parent household?
Well, yeah, I had my father and my stepmom.
Okay,
I grew up with. So the schedule changed.
What's the struggle? What's the struggle? Because I always hear the side of stepdads. What's the struggle a kid may have with a stepmom?
Dealing with a stepmom, I would say probably just. My stepmother knew me when I was a baby. Like, I was like 2 years old. So I grew up with my stepmother. Okay. Pretty much. So she knew me, so I treated her like mom anyway. Yeah,
so you were around her long enough to have that bond with her. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Even with but that was for my early part of my life. But then after that, my father split from my stepmother. And he had a woman who was with he's with her. He's with her for like about 10 years. So that was like from high school. Okay, like got her like my 10th grade year. So that was a little different. I mean, but she didn't bother me. She didn't like come to me. She didn't even she barely even address me with anything. I mean, I wasn't really a needy child. I wouldn't run in the streets, even though I had a car and all that stuff. I wasn't really outside. I didn't disrespect the house. Yeah. I smoked weed in there a couple times. She kind of kids stuff. Yeah. But besides that, I was a good kid, so she never really bothered me. So I don't really have any step parent horror stories or anything of that nature. Like, they were always good.
Gotcha.
But when it comes down to like raising the kids and everything, what you're teaching them, it has to be something that they can take along with them, and you gotta make sure they understand. Make sure ask questions.
Now, you're married. You've been married for about a year now. Mm-hmm. Your daughter is with your wife?
No, with my ex.
Okay, so talk about that from experience, because what's funny. I have a lot of situations where, I don't know if you watch a lot of these content creators and stuff that just goes out there, where they have people talking about hypothetical situations. Can you speak to your situation and how that worked, the good, the bad, the ugly of like co-parenting, formulate a new relationship? Can you speak to that?
It was a transition with my situation with my wife.
Okay. for clarification, how old was your daughter when you got with your now wife?
Well, she's 1.
Okay, so she's a baby.
Same situation with me. Like she kind of grew up
in the cycle of life, circle of life.
Right. So like she met my daughter when she was like 1 year old, going on 2. Okay. So she knows her.
So what problems is the baby mom? Yeah.
The mother of my child. I'm not gonna lie. She's more easygoing than most. She's easygoing than most.
That's nice. That's good for you. And the child.
Yeah. In the beginning, there was a little friction, because she got a guy, and she was a little upset, and it was growing pains basically. But fast forward,
how did you make peace in that situation?
Communicating, like being relaxed.
How long did it take?
It took a while. I mean, honestly, a lot of times I just kind of
months, years.
Well, I say months. I say like some months. It wasn't bad.
Was it the new boyfriend that was a problem, or
for a little bit? But we are on better terms. It's just like I guess him getting involved in like conversations
around my daughter
and conversation. No, he's never tried to play dad or anything, but him just kind of getting involved in conversation with me and my ex or whatever. Mm-hmm. Him basically feeling like he was out of line, he would come to me about it. But I understand you defending your woman. You're a man, like, and she gonna come to you about it anyway. So you don't want to seem like you're a sucker or whatever. Yeah, I understand as a man. Like, and we're growing. Like I was a younger man, she was a younger woman. We all were young. We're growing now. I'm in a different space than I was back then. Okay, but early on, it was different.
She with the same guy?
Yeah, she's still with him. And
that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys got cool?
We all right. We're decent. Like
cordial?
We amicable. Yeah. Like
okay.
we can. I can talk to him. I can talk to him.
So if y'all show up at the daughter, who going to daddy daughter dance?
Me.
I just make that sure.
I mean, I wouldn't. How can I not?
That was a trick question.
My daughter looks a spitting image.
The man knew the assignment, y'all.
Yeah, I'm not. It's me all day, but he understands that. Like he's a decent guy. He's a decent guy, and he's still around. So that's it. That's
punishment. Being the voice in the house, because you got split custody, or how often is she with you?
I get it like every other weekend.
Every other weekend. Okay, so problem at the house. He's at the house. The mother of your child is gone. Maybe she's at work or something. She's not there. There's an issue that he has to address. How do you have you guys talked about that?
Or there's an issue that he has to address.
Yeah, because like maybe she just does something to the child, like she breaks something, she's disrespectful. Just being a child, just a situation where adult needs to be and it has to intervene. Mm-hmm. How do you approach that? Have you guys discussed that?
I mean, no, we haven't. We haven't. But how I would approach it is like we would come together as men and talk about it, like and discuss exactly what it is before any action is taken. Yeah, don't take any action.
No spanking rule.
Yeah, like no, don't none of that. Like you come to me. I don't care if I only see on the weekend. It doesn't matter. Like you come to me out of respect and let me know what's going on. I talk.
Does he have your number?
Yeah, he has one of them. Yeah,
good. That's a really mature situation.
Right. So
that right there, it says a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're grown.
Now, petty question: what's the number saved as?
I don't have it saved. I just know it. I just know it when I see it. That's all.
See?
Yeah, I don't have it saved. I'm not gonna lie.
Started out so good.
Yeah, I know. I don't have it saved. I just know it when I see it.
Yeah, you're better than most.
Type of thing. Yeah.
So what do you want?
Yeah. I mean, but it's cool though. Like, I understand.
Do you answer the phone like it's scam likely? Are you checking on your car warranty?
Nah.
Your warranty is about
because a lot of times, my daughter's calling from his phone anyway. Okay. So like that's why I answer the phone. You know, it's usually her. He don't necessarily call me. Yeah. Talk to me or whatever. But,
I mean, you guys really don't have much to talk about. But I'm just saying. But the fact that he has your number and he knows how to reach you if something comes in, and you guys have that open line of communication, that says a lot about both sides.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's mature. I could say he's mature enough to be able to have a conversation with, and that's what we need. Like, we need maturity. We can't like go all the baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, we beef and all that. It's energy. It's unnecessary energy. We're just putting it towards the wrong place.
Now let's take it to your household. Your now wife, then girlfriend, early in the relationship. What was the friction, if any, that she had or you had when dealing with the child's mother?
Oh, just but that right there was more like the female ego. I guess being petty.
I mean, you said it nonchalant because you're on the other side of it now. Yeah. But I'm guessing month 3 of that situation, it wasn't so smooth.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Speak to a situation that you can laugh about now.
Right, I can laugh about now.
I don't say laugh about, but for the sake of conversation, I mean, y'all married now, so y'all happy.
I just remember. Okay, so I remember this one time. Well, for some reason, it started kind of, my ex, for some reason, she wanted like to be really smooth. Like when we first got together. So she invited me and, you know, my now wife over to Thanksgiving with them.
Oh.
Yeah. So my wife, she was
Who made you a plate? I'm petty.
Yeah, she made a plate. Nah, I mean, the food was good. The food always good. They Jamaican, so like, you know, it was a lot of oxtail and curry and all that stuff. Good food. But so she invited me over and everything. You know, came over there and like she got uncomfortable. Like she was uncomfortable. Like she wanted to go. Your lady? Yeah. She wanted to go.
She enemy territory.
Yeah, she felt uncomfortable. And I was being naive. Like I was like trying to have like happy family type thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we all just good. No, I was very.
I mean, when she was well within her rights to be on edge. Not just understand because you don't know. Like you know, it's like I need to be here to extend an olive branch, but I could be walking into a storm.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand in that retrospect. So I remember what happened was like she wanted to leave and everything, and like I wanted to play cards. I'm big on playing spades or whatever. So you know I knew the folks and everything. You know, like I like we gonna get the table going and everything.
Yeah.
So my wife, she was like wanted to go. We was outside and everything. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna stay. She's like, well, I want to stay place of card and everything.
He didn't know the assignment.
Yeah. I kind of misplayed that right there. But she was like, I remember another girl saying that. Like she was like, if you stay, it'll never be the same. I was like, shit, I can't. I gotta go.
At least she gave you that, because you know what most women, you could stay, and then you call this phone. It's not answering.
Right. You block. So no.
Or she give you the cold shoulder. You know I'm mad.
Yeah.
I don't.
Mm-hmm. So she
I hate women that don't communicate. You know what? I hate people in general that don't communicate.
Right. And that's
especially when you're angry at somebody.
Man, me and my wife are big on communication. It's so real that I give her space. Mm-hmm. Like she gets mad at me, I get mad at her. I don't leave the house. First of all, I'm not gonna leave my house anyway because like I pay bill. I'm not gonna go get another room or none of that. I'm gonna go right in my room or to another room. I'm chilling there, and she chill.
That don't always work, bro.
Hey, that shit works with us.
I mean, well, it's different because I'm assuming you got the house together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when the one time I knew I should, I sold my condo and I moved in with my girlfriend at the time, and when I was stressed out. In some situations, I never left the house. I would stay in the car. I was the guy that would drive up to the house and no one go in the house mad long.
Okay.
Like, I'm here. I just ain't in there.
Ain't in there.
But it's stressful though. It's different. Like it's like you have to clear your head in a sense. But going back to your situation, so problems that I'm trying to think of most problems that people have co-parenting. Figuring out who gets the daughter on holidays,
right?
Waffles. What other things? Who's taking her to school, picking up school, doctor's appointments, daycare splits and stuff like that. How does that go?
I mean, it goes. I mean, it goes how it goes. Pretty much like you consistent, you communicate, you agree to terms.
Yeah,
and that's it. We stick to it.
Okay,
it's not really a really complicated matter. I think we overcomplicate a lot of these things, and it becomes more about the individual than it does about the kids. That's where we all go wrong. That's where the disconnect breaks down because we start getting our ego, we start colliding with it, and it stops being about the child.
When did you guys break up? When the baby was a baby?
Yeah, she was about she's like a baby. Yeah.
Talking yet?
Nah. She wasn't talking yet.
Okay. During that time, were you ever having an issue? Did you have an issue seeing your daughter because of the breakup was fresh?
No. I never had a problem seeing her. She never like kept away from me.
Oh, you lucky.
Yeah, like I said, she's better.
Have you talked to other men like realize how lucky you are?
Yeah, I mean, I got guys right now who I know like family and friends who go through it because kids their mothers use their kids as leverage.
Yeah,
like it's built in. It's built into the fabric of society for them to be able to do that. I understand it. It's a gender perk. Yeah, you know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't benefit.
You just said women have privilege.
What? A lot of privilege, more privilege than they think.
Man, why are you trying to get me hurt, bro? You done win again. So many things already. I do want more episodes. I do.
Because that's the whole conversation right there. We want to talk about privilege in society.
All right.
Yeah, but bringing it back full circle. When we talk about, what was it? Coming from, did we talk about forgiveness yet?
No, we need to get into forgiveness. I mean, bro, I've told you, we got so many things. Like we probably only talked about maybe 3 topics, and here we are. But What did you want to say about forgiveness?
Meaning that I think that we put too much stock into it. Like we kind of
That's interesting.
Yeah, we think we kind of make it more important than what it should be. Because your forgiveness, like I understand, like forgiving yourself. Okay, say like you hurt somebody or whatever. You didn't mean to do it. Like you want that forgiveness. Like yeah, but if they don't forgive you, do you just like spend your whole life feeling like, oh man, you didn't forgive me? Like I mean personally, I'm like, no, I wouldn't. I mean, ideally, I would want that person forgiveness.
All right, let's throw out a scenario. Let's throw a scenario out here. You ran over a kid, neighbor's dog.
Ran over a neighbor's dog.
Been in that family for years. Mm-hmm. Wasn't an old dog, spry, full of life. Mm-hmm. And you were just being reckless. Maybe you were on your phone checking a text message. Something had your eye while you were backing out the driveway. Normally you would have been more careful, but you just did something that accidentally killed the dog. Mm-hmm. That forgiveness you don't care about that forgiveness? Yeah,
I would say yeah. In that context, yes.
Okay, so when you speak of is forgiveness a real thing that we need to have to really pursue is in the context of the situation?
Yeah, I'm talking about like as far as moving forward, like
for the offender or the offended.
I mean, both parties. Like, okay, so if the offender is not forgiven by the offended, should you soak in that? Do you think a person should soak in it?
I would say it depends on the person. It depends on the person's mental makeup, what you did, and if you feel like you want that, if you want to pursue it, if they feel like there's a shred of hope of making peace with the situation, but the other person or the other party is just being rigid, they may carry that. Because for some people, and it goes back to what we're talking about religion, some people feel like they need that salvation or they need that forgiveness for the saving of their soul, to cleanse themselves, in a sense. So, I mean, it really depends on the person in what sense. Because there you have, like, say, somebody's having a bad day, or let's say teenagers having a fight. Fist fight, fair fight. Somebody has a weak heart condition, but the other person doesn't know that. They die in the midst of a fight. The other person that was in a fight with them was not a murderer. It was just a person it was just a kid having a fight with another kid, and it changes their life tremendously. But you have that person in the person that passed away family is never gonna forgive the other kid that he was fighting with.
Right.
That's not fair.
It's not. I mean, but the thing about it is you may never get forgiveness. It's their prerogative. Yeah. They can probably never forgive you. But
in that situation, we're talking about a person that they're going to have a lot of trauma because they were just having a fist. We're just talking about like a regular fist fight or something like that, right? So 25, 26, 28, like that could carry a lot of trauma in your lifestyle because you didn't get that forgiveness. But let's talk about the forgiveness. If they did get forgiveness, a weight would be lifted off their shoulders in that sense, even though their life has already been changed, because something that would have been a fight, you go back to school, nothing happens, and you just have that, high school talk about your so-and-so had a fight as something normal. But now that's elevated, probably in the court system, probably go through a trial of some sort. Like your life is forever changed. You're now this person that's associated with this bad act that you may have gotten yourself into because you were being a child. Right. Now, if you get that forgiveness, the second act of your life can be vastly different because that weight is lifted off.
It could be, but the way by which you go about getting the weight lifted off can be different as well. Because sometimes you may not get forgiveness from the family, but you can probably go to a therapist and and
learn
talk about it. Learn forgiveness, like to forgive yourself. That's the most important forgiveness to me personally. It may sound vain, but I think forgiving yourself is most important because
in certain situations it can be vain. Yeah,
in certain situations, yeah. But for the most part, I think it is because that's your weight. Like that's what you walk. That's weight that you put on yourself at the end of the day. So you gotta get rid of that. It can have a physical effect on you. Literally a physical effect on you.
Absolutely.
So don't stress yourself. I mean, hey, we all gonna have regrets. We gotta learn to live with regrets. We have to learn to live with regrets, period. If we're gonna have regrets some things, it's what it is, life. But like I'm not gonna make a decision when I'm 20 years old and still be like harking on it when I'm 60 years old. Like you just wasted 40 years of life. Like you gotta move on. you have to move on. It sounds like it sounds very harsh or
it's not harsh. It's not harsh,
but it's reality. It's reality.
It's not harsh or insensitive. I would just say the person that's going through the situation is very easy for a person that's not emotionally invested in that situation to say, let it go, move on, your life goes on, sun goes up, sun goes down, tomorrow's another day. Person going through the fire, they're just immersed in the fire of the moment. That's hard for them to come out of it. Sometimes there could be another person that can pull you out the fire, or just like you said yourself, you forgive yourself, that fire subsides and you pull yourself from it, and now you make yourself anew. Mm-hmm. It's hard to do when you're not in the fire.
We're not in the fire, absolutely. I'm not being insensitive because we all have our trials and tribulations.
Yeah,
everybody has a bad. Everybody has a
trials
sad story.
and tribulations. Right. Well, it's neither just a trial and a tribulation. Yeah. They go together
every time, and it's like I'm not downplaying.
It's like the peanut butter jelly of pain.
That's right. But like I said, everybody has things they go through. Yeah, like everybody has a bad story. Like you can complain that you got holes in your shoes about why the next man doesn't have any feet. The man, because who doesn't have feet,
that's a drastic jump.
You know what I mean? Say, hey, I don't have. Well, okay, you go. He doesn't have any toes or whatever.
Yeah.
Or any shoes at all. Or he's walking barefoot, and then you go from barefoot.
And then he's
the
number one pick in the draft.
Right,
Kwame Brown. Mama's cooking.
Come on now. You go from no feet to having no legs. Like we all got them. I'm not downplaying anybody's situation, but at the same time, we can't let our trauma define us. We can't let the bad situation define who we are, because we become this woe is me type individual, and we spread that.
Yeah,
you ever met those people who like every time they come around they got some bad news or something bad?
I cannot. I'm not gonna say a name because we used to work together. You know what I'm talking about.
I
know what I'm talking about.
I know,
bro. You cannot be. I've never like why every time we go to work you having a bad day.
Right. Every day.
I don't want to hear that 15 minutes of the day. Like, come on, bro.
Like I'm sitting there trying to eat my food in peace or whatever. I got headphones in. You come to me just
complaints and coffee do not mix.
It does not. It does not. And it's like I said, we have to weed that out. We have to let people be aware of that. Like,
but even how we're talking about, all right, that guy in particular, really good dude.
Yeah.
When we talking outside of work.
Outside of work.
But he always starts the morning off like that. Or anytime, I'm jacking. Anytime we at work, he talk like that at work. But when I talk to him outside of work, very positive being.
Very positive.
Very positive.
So at that point, a person has to be more self-aware. Like,
read the room. Emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Emotional intelligence. Like realize,
it's all connected.
It's all full circle now. Like it seems like it's all over the place, but it all ties in. Yeah. That's the beauty of it.
I always organize my mess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I try to.
And it's deep. Like I say, it gets to a point where, we have to let adults know, like, hey, look, you tripping. Like, I understand, what you're going through, but hey, man, shake that off. I got stuff going on too. Don't come to me and try to push it on me, and I'm dealing with your trauma and my trauma too, while you getting relief, and then when you remove yourself, you leave me with all the baggage.
The energy transfer.
I don't need that. Yeah. And we have to let people be aware, like, bro, work through your own mess. Like, if you're not ready, if you're broken, or you feel broken, or you're hurt, or
I'm about to be petty.
Be aware of that.
But now, when you were in the car, you want to go play cards. They got good food in there. I'm about to give me a second plate. You let your trauma mess up my night. You gotta let it go.
Hey, I could have. Huh? I could have made a decision, but I knew that
that man made a business decision.
Yeah, I had to. Like, nah, man, it ain't that deep. I'm gonna go ahead, go out to my lady. So I left for whatever. I'm gonna play some cards, but still, I'm going home and we kicked it or whatever. Yeah. But at the same time,
he got a wife now.
Hey. Well, it's, like I said, big deals, little deals, man. That's how I operate in my relationship. Like, you got big deals and little deals, and some things are deal breakers.
What's the last thing you were wrong about that you had to correct?
The last thing I was wrong about?
It could be something big. It could be something minor.
Let me see. Well, I said I was wrong about, I don't know, I guess being too forward with people, I guess, like being too
blunt.
I guess so. Yeah, being a little too blunt. Okay, knowing that it's needed, but you gotta also be aware how it's perceived. Because I had a situation where I was talking to a coworker.
This was this is a work situation.
Work situation. Okay, pretty much. Yeah, like I came to a guy. Because I'm over a certain department, or I'm over like the actual building as far as make sure like the maintenance is done. and had a guy who was one of the upper management people. He was relaying the message to someone else. To me, like so I told him, when I addressed him, I was like, hey man, you got anything dealing with maintenance, like address me, like don't go to him about it because he already has stuff going on anyway. So don't add on to what he has. Just tell me directly. And
chain of command.
Exactly, chain of command. And but the guy, we're on the same level, but he's over operations and I'm over maintenance. So I told the upper management person to just address me. So today I was talking to another person, and I guess she overheard it. No, it wasn't today. It was probably yesterday. She told me that she overheard it, and she like, I thought you were mad because you were like, anything in the building like wrong, you let me know. And me, in that conversation I had with him, I felt like I was just being assertive. I was being mindful of my tone. I was telling him like, just let me know.
Sometimes the word selection is the phrasing.
I was being mindful of my tone. I wasn't being aggressive, but I was just letting him know I was being firm in what I was saying. But she perceived it as me being mad. I'm like, no, I wasn't mad.
White lady, black lady?
Black woman. Black.
Really?
Right. So it got something like, damn, I mean, I guess I got to like kind of, I'm like, what do I do? Like,
well, based on what you just said and what I've heard, you were being mindful of your tone. So you're good there. But the word selection is how certain people perceive it. But the thing is, and it goes back to how men are raised, who you're talking to, emotional intelligence, or what we referred to earlier, all comes back. So sometimes men talking to men, not problematic. Man talking to a woman, I thought he was mad. He was coming to me all aggressive. Like he didn't yell at me, but it sounded aggressive. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's my conclusion I came to as well. Like she's as a woman, she's not going to understand that men, we can talk to each other like that because we're men. Right. But you go over here and think, oh man, he's been aggressive. I thought he was going to do something. No, not at all. I mean, as a man, you can come to me, say what you got to say, and that's it.
Man tone shakes a room differently. And one thing I've noticed with a lot of women is if you're not used to a man's presence as a child, it sounds aggressive at all times as an adult. It sounds confrontational where it just could be a man being firm. So I think that goes back to the households that people are raised in, or the households they're raised in, and then the presence of men around them, be it men or women or children, So I think that's something important as well. There's a point I wanted to make. I lost it. Oh, disagreeing with friends. So I was explaining a situation I had with my friends to my homegirl, who's a woman. I told her what my friend said to me, and she was ready to like burn the bridge, scorch the earth, forget him, F him forever, right? And I said, hold on. Going back to what you said about knowing a person's traumas, where they come from, how they raised, and I'm talking to a friend, so I know him. His response to me, based on something I said to him, was said because how he's used to people dealing with him, or how there's a disagreement, there's usually no concrete solution.
Right. I
read through that and I saw the hurt. If we lost this friendship over this disagreement, I saw the hurt in his statement where she only saw aggressiveness. But that goes with knowing your friend. Right. And I was like, bro, we're not gonna lose our friendship over a disagreement. Teammates fight. Right. The game goes on. Right. Friends fight. We find a reason why we're here. And then we also have a situation where, okay, there's a situation, here's a solution. Let's find a way to get to that thing together. That's all we have to do. But a lot of people don't know how to communicate, so it never gets to that point.
So you have to have this conversation with one another, like for you to actually grow.
Same friend. They just told me I was wrong the other day, and I had to eat it. And you know me, I like to talk, and I always got reasons, right? I had to sit there and shut up.
I had to eat that.
And then they ran it down to me. I was like, you know what, bro? Y'all right.
You're right. So they gotta eat. You get like,
and
it never feels good. It don't feel good. Like we gotta realize that it's not when we get critique, because a lot of times when you're like yourself, you probably used to like doing the critique and being like right because you think things out and all that stuff. But sometimes you can be wrong. Sometimes you can.
I'm wrong a lot.
Yeah. I'm right. Okay.
I'm wrong a lot. I'm wrong a lot. But the thing about being wrong a lot, sometimes you got to make a decision as a man, as leaders. You have to make a decision. It may not be the right one, but sometimes being still is just as bad as sometimes it's worse than not making a decision. Because a lot of times women talk about men don't lead. Sometimes you have to make a decision and just ride with your decision. And sometimes you got to react. Sometimes you can be proactive and project things happening. And then sometimes it's like you don't know what's going to happen, but this is what I'm going to do in the midst of the situation. But that's where emotional intelligence, reading the room and learn how to be fluid and learn how to control your emotions in the situation. It's like, okay, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
But sometimes you shoot a shot, it don't go in.
Right, that's real. But at least you had the confidence to actually make the shot in the first place.
Confidence.
That's what
y'all see. This is what it comes back to when we got to talk to alpha men. We talking about confidence. It's not about being brazen and vain. It's about having the audacity, to make a decision, right or wrong, and being able to stand on it.
Absolutely,
very simple.
Very simple. Like I said, we can't overcomplicate things. Sometimes you got to just break stuff down, go back to the basics. And go back to the basics of the conversation. And I want to get to. Okay, so you want to talk about the people as far as like.
Bro, we can rap right now actually, but we can go. Let's go. I'm here.
Yeah. I was saying like I wanted to also get to the Richard Sherman's wife.
Okay. First of all, explain it to the people, and then they make your point.
Like. Well, I wanted to see. Well, first of all, from what I understand, the situation is Richard Sherman had a situation, alleged alcohol-induced rage going on. And he had a situation at his home, but his wife was standing by him. Correct.
I like that.
Right, his wife was standing by him, and we all realized that these guys. There's a lot of things they go through. There's a lot of pressure. As being. Having a certain lifestyle, been used to a certain thing, you want to keep providing that. And he's a free agent right now, correct?
Yeah.
He's a free agent. Shouldn't be. Still talented. Still very talented.
That goes back to the narratives and when we were talking about with Kwame Brown and stuff like that.
I was saying, like, going back to that, and why is the man free agent? Like, why?
Yeah. I think that's in the business of sports, but I believe he negotiated his last contract and he was trying to represent himself in this one as well. But that goes back to what we're saying, like case by case situation. The reason why I'm a real big fan as a kid, I didn't read fiction. I used to read biographies. I know that's very nerdy of me, but that's what I did. The reason why I'm like that is the same reason I have a podcast. I think everyone has a story to tell. People have their motivations and their life experiences put them in a position to have unique motivations or outlooks on life. The reason why you and I are talking right now is because I respect your opinions and I respect the angles in which you come from there, and as though they're not always the most traditional points that people have, and it's not the most convenient thing to say.
Right. Or safe.
So it's not. Yeah, you don't play it safe, and I appreciate that. Now, going back to Richard Sherman, I think he's a very unique case study. You're talking about a guy that comes from Compton, LA, that went to Stanford. Mm-hmm. The average person can't do that.
No.
Some people see him as loud, brazen, cocky, just hard to get along with, whereas other people see confidence, passionate, a person that stands by his teammates and really had a very productive career. Mm-hmm. One of the best all time. Now, he just had a situation. I mean, they're in a sport that has a lot of brain damage. We don't know if that's a part of it. Mm-hmm. How many concussions he had on record, or it could have been mental health, something non-CTE related,
right?
Or he could have just been drunk.
Yeah, that's true.
He did just get into an accident too, and he walked away from the accident. You remember? You saw that part of the story, right?
No, I did not.
So apparently he had an accident, walked away from the scene, and walked to the house in which he was banging on the door.
Oh, okay.
And the first time I saw the story, I saw it as, or the way it was reported, it was his ex-wife. But when I saw the follow-up stories, she was in court saying it was reported as his wife. So from say I saw the story on Monday, it said ex-wife's house, situation where she was getting aggressive with I believe her uncle.
Okay.
And then when they were in court, they were introducing her as his wife that was standing by him. Did you hear the 911 call?
No, I didn't hear the 911
call.
So
during the 911 call, the wife, ex-wife, whatever you want to call her, because I didn't get clarification, but I think it's wife. So during the 911 call, she said, send somebody out. There is a problem with Richard. He's being aggressive, pushing people, doesn't have a weapon. She clarified that he didn't have a weapon. And she also said, make sure they don't shoot. She said that. And that's where a lot of people were applauding her. But she was saying, make sure they don't shoot and make sure they don't come over here with the intentions of doing harm to him. Mm-hmm. We just need them to come, protect and serve, keep the peace.
Right.
And there are a lot of people going back and forth with about the dispatcher on the 911 call saying she was too spicy because the woman kept cutting her off and letting her know what type of situation they need to be in the mindset of when they send the unit over. Whereas the lady was like, give me the address. Ma'am, give me the address. Don't tell me how to do my job. Like, I'm not saying that's what she said, but that was like the tone. If you read the subtext, you know what I'm saying?
Like a very dismissive tone.
Yeah. But that's where a lot of people were applauding her because, especially when everyone thought it was his ex-wife, where it's like you're being that protective over this black man in the midst of him being aggressive at the front door on camera with your people, and you still mindful enough to say, hey, send somebody over here, but don't come ready to shoot.
See, that was emotional intelligence on her part for sure.
All comes full circle.
Exactly, because she could have easily called and say, "Oh, he's been irate. The police, I'm scared for my life, whatever," and they could came out there like ready to shoot him.
Yep,
just like that. Because see a big black man with locks. Oh, we don't want to restrain him. We gonna shoot him.
Black man with locks. That's problematic.
Hey, you know the perception.
I know. I got him. Yeah. Well, we both got him. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, this whole conversation, everything tied in. And it's still
emotional intelligence, reading the room, knowing what society has to offer in certain people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool talk. You got anything else you want to cover before I wrap?
Oh no, man, that's about it.
Cool. It's definitely not gonna be the last time you go on. Pretty sure I'm gonna get a talking to based on your Cosby takes, but
okay,
it was fun while it lasted. And you know what, man, this is a good show. I appreciate you coming through.
Likewise, it's a pleasure.
Thank you guys for listening. Whether you agreed, disagreed, I thank you for your energy and your time. Like, subscribe. And if you didn't like the show, tell me why. And maybe we'll fix it. Maybe I don't care.
Right on.
Oh, he did it, Joe.
Joseph got the vibe.
Money on my mind, I be on my own time. I will with a dime, I can't give you no time.